and we will hear from Nadine how she is. Hi, Nadine.
Hello. Hey, Luke. Hey, everybody. Um,
Thank you for joining us. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. I think I butchered a couple things. Where are you at? What do you do?
so I'm on Vashon Island, which is a little island outside of Seattle. It's kind of in between Seattle and Tacoma, and it's a really um, convenient location because it's a little removed from the city, but it has great access to the city. So I can have a nice sort of quiet rural sort of life and then be in Seattle in 15 minutes to a half an hour, or in Tacoma in 15 minutes. And it's both ferry rides. There's no bridges.
Nice.
So it's a nice community, and probably half my work is on island and half my work is elsewhere in Seattle or anywhere in the country. So I'm happy to travel for work.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to take that.
For sure.
And yeah, I've been on Vashon for over 30 years now, and have been. I started. No, I guess it's been 30. It's almost 30 years, not quite. And when I moved here, what's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say, and how did you get introduced? How did you get started in the tile industry?
Yeah, so when a whole bunch of things happened during the period of time when I moved here to the island. I had been in Seattle, and I actually used to be a research scientist, and I was a molecular and developmental biologist, and had been living in Seattle and was at the University of Washington.
Okay.
And I decided I really wanted to do something different, and I didn't know what it was, and a bunch of things happened, and I ended up moving to Vashon Island with a fellow who I had started dating, and he was a general contractor.
Okay.
And I had always wanted to learn how to build a house. And so we started investing in property. I became a general contractor and started building houses. And then he and I broke up, and I ended up, he moved back to Hawaii, which is where he had been living. And I had no plans to do tile work or to continue. I just had a mortgage and a tile saw, and out of all of the parts of building a house, I enjoyed tile work the most. And so I just started picking up work, and never thought this is, what I want to do with my life. But I continued to enjoy it and continued to evaluate it. And the work, I was able to make the work more artistic and more interesting as I went along, and it just has turned into something that it continues to be a joy for me. I've been doing it for over 25 years now, and I still love it. I still think about it every day about, do I still like to do this? And I do. I really enjoy it. Yeah. And
what have some of the most memorable projects been for you? I know you did some work in Pike Place Market. Is that what they call it?
So yeah, so Pike Place Market is one of those Seattle institutions that everybody knows about when they talk about Seattle. And I have a good friend here that lives on the island, and she's a tile artist. Her name is Claire Dona, and she was chosen. Pike Place Market is expanding. They're eventually going to expand their farmers market and stalls and everything down into a plaza that has a stairs, a beautiful stair plaza that goes down to the waterfront. And so the first phase of that was to expand into this one area, and she was selected to create 3 mosaic murals for this new area. And so she chose me as her installation partner. And so I designed her installation protocol and then was the installer for the project. And so that was a really great project, and I'm really proud of it. And her work is just stunning. If anybody finds themselves in Seattle and wants to see some really beautiful tile work, Claire's sense of style is so whimsical and so unique. I highly recommend seeing it. And the installation was a challenge. It was a really wonderful project. It was big,
Yeah.
and it's a big public place. So I feel really proud of it and lucky to have been a part of it.
Well, that sounds like a great collaboration, and
Great collaboration.
yeah, yeah. And if you haven't seen that, check out Nadine's Facebook page. Maybe you can drop a link at some point after the interview.
Yeah, I should just say that my on Facebook, I haven't done a really good job of keeping my business page up to date with anything, but my personal page is, and also I use my Instagram for my portfolio.
Okay.
So we can post my Instagram. I think that's a better way for people to see my work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that, by the way?
It's at Tile Design by Edelstein.
Okay, we'll throw a link up for sure.
Yeah. Thanks. I was thinking about being interviewed and what to talk about, and one of the things I thought would be that's important to me is that I've kind of, after giving some thought about it last night, just thinking about how the thing that's been really a thread through the work that I've done is that I love art, handmade tile. I love collaborating with handmade tile artists. And when I first started doing tile work, it turns out that Vashon Island has a long history of potters. And then consequently, there are a lot of tile makers on Vashon Island. And it's a strange thing because I don't know how many communities are like this, but our community has, easily over the years at any given time, 10 to 15 handmade tile makers on the island.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so as I started doing tile work here on the island, I had met all these people individually, and I realized that they didn't really know each other because there was no organized group of them. So I started the Vashon Tile Guild back in the early 2000s, and we've become a really strong, supportive group over the years. And we've done some group shows together, and we all work together on things now. So if somebody needs help with something, we're there for them, for each person. And it's a really, it's been great because I can work with clients and recommend local tile artists to do their decorative tile, or in many cases, all of their tile, their field tile as well.
Yeah.
So that's been a really,
what has that done for your energy and your passion and the community? I mean, it sounds like it's just tightened everything up, right?
Yeah. It keeps me really energized because there's always somebody to talk to about a certain style of tile or a certain direction, that the new direction that they're going in with their work, and it makes me think of things that inspire me as well in my design. Yeah. I've been really lucky to, I'd say most of the projects that I work on now, I get to design, and having a background in general contracting really helps because it can help clients completely conceptualize and build out their space. Yeah. And so most of my projects can be, really tailored to the individual tile.
You got more control over everything. What challenges have you had over the years that you've overcame?
Well, it's funny. Sorry, did you hear that ding when that happened?
I did. That's okay.
Sorry. I guess the challenges for me have always been kind of feeling like an imposter.
Oh, really?
Well, I never trained in this field. I kind of hopped in from the side. I still, in my heart of hearts, feel like a scientist, even though I've been doing this forever now.
Yeah.
And so I think just my own challenge within myself of of feeling okay about saying, no, I know what I'm doing, and this is, I've been doing this for a long time now. That it's not so much a problem anymore, that part of it, but I think it rears its head every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I think initially it was an obstacle to overcome. A lot of people ask me about if being a woman in the trades has been an obstacle, and in some ways it has, but in a lot of ways it just really hasn't. I feel like it's becoming more and more common to see women in the trades, in every trade, on every job site, and I'm grateful for that. And I try not to make a big deal about that on a job site, because we're just there doing our work.
Yeah.
And that's really what counts.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
no, it's, I was kind of surprised that you said that was your, one of your obstacles was having that feeling of, not necessarily knowing, and I see what you mean, but, certainly, so many of us look up to you and really appreciate the work that you've done. And I know the community at large appreciates it. So I appreciate you sharing and being a little bit vulnerable there, Nadine. I really do. I want to encourage the audience to ask any questions they might have. We did have a couple. Donnie D said, is Chanel from Icon Tile close to you up there?
Yeah, Chanel and I and Jamin, we all run into each other often at Master Wholesale, which is our main supplier in this area. And we've been at workshops together, NTCA workshops, and I love running into her and running into Jamin and all the regional tile people. I have to just, I'm so grateful for what you're doing, Luke, and what the NTCA has done, and started with the John Bridge Forum, and all, most of us we're just individualists, unless we grew up, and a lot of people that are in these groups, a lot of people are union tile people, and there's sort of a built-in camaraderie that comes with that. But most of us, I think, are not in the unions and didn't grow up with an apprenticeship program or any of that. And I think that also feeds into the insecurities and the vulnerabilities of the imposter sort of syndrome, right? Yeah. Because a lot of us are self-taught. I'm self-taught. But at the very beginning, there were always manufacturers' reps. I always had everybody's phone numbers on speed dial.
Yeah.
And I joined the NTCA right away, a million years ago, because of the support that they gave me. I could call and just say, hey, what do I do? And they were always going to answer my questions.
Yeah.
And then John Bridge Forum, and then the Geeks, and then all of the spurs off of Geeks and GTP and you and Tile Money. I just really, there's never been a better time for individual tile setters and tile contractors and artists. And I think we're just hitting our stride in this medium. And I just really want to thank you for that, because it's made all the difference for me in my work. And in fact, it wasn't, so I've also been going to coverings for a long time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the 2017 coverings that I finally got to start meeting people that I had been networking with online for so many years.
Right.
And because even before 2017, I'd been going to coverings for years, but this hadn't gelled yet.
Yeah.
So, I knew all my NTCA people and a couple people here and there, but now I feel like we are a strong community.
Yeah.
And the kind of friendships and the kind of support that I get from these groups, it's just immeasurable.
Yeah, and I'll build on that a little. We do have another question from the audience, and maybe time for one more before we wrap up. I just want to build on what you're saying. For anybody out there who feels like they're alone, they feel like they're an island, but you love what you're doing, you love what you work. Listen to Nadine's words here. Take advantage of the NTCA, take advantage of the online groups. Start your own community locally, like Nadine did, a Vashon Island community. Who would have thought? How many people are on Vashon? 300-400?
13,000.
13,000. Okay, so 13,000 people.
But it's the size of Manhattan.
Okay, so it's the size of Manhattan, 13,000 people,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
still really a small area. Who would have
yeah.
thought, that there would be so many Tylers and you're connecting them and whether you're in Minneapolis or, wherever, Omaha, I'm just saying some groups that I'm thinking of online, you can start a Facebook group, you can start a local group and do that. So keep your head up, take advantage of the resources we have and start a micro or even a macro group. Heather asks, have you been able to take your science background and deal with the engineering of porcelain or, tile for porcelain or paints for tile?
Yeah, I see the question. So I don't, that's a really good question because I actually was a chemistry major in college, and I do have an interest in sort of the chemistry of glazes and things like that. But my area of interest in science is in developmental systems and developmental biology. So I'm interested in pattern formation and what has to happen in an emerging organism to make things go to certain places and create patterns. And so I was always interested um, in that, and that is something that I have directly taken into my design work for my art
Sounds,
and for my
sounds like,
mosaics.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, my science transition into my work is more of the artistic end of it rather than the chemistry end of it. Even though my chemistry background helps me a lot in understanding all of the new products and how to think about things.
You do have an oven, don't you? You fire your own tile
I do
sometimes?
not, but I have 10
Oh,
friends.
okay, cool, cool.
10 friends with kilns.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And look, if anybody wants to, I really, again, highly recommend everybody to check out Nadine's work on Instagram. She does, all artists do, come with their own unique approach. And I was living in Pebble Beach, and Pebble Beach, the city, contacted me at one point and they wanted to do some work. It was really something that I felt was a little bit out of my realm. So I contacted Nadine. Nadine, we teamed up together, and although that we didn't never did sell that project to the city of Pebble Beach, we did make some progress. But it's things like this that you can do if you're sitting at home and you're sick of installing 12 by 12s and you want to get started in the art world. Collaborate with someone like Nadine. Reach out to her. She's happy to do that and even travel, like she said. So Nadine, thanks
Have
again
tile
so
saw will
much.
travel.
What's that?
Have tile saw will travel.
That's it. That's it. All right, Nadine. Well, we really appreciate you taking some time to share your story with us.
Well, I really appreciate it, Luke. Thank you. And thanks to ArtX and all the other sponsors. And it's nice to see this happening. Thank
For
you.
sure.
Yeah,
And we've got another great interview in about 20 minutes with Dan Costanza. So stick around for that. We'll do some more networking. All
look
right.
forward to it. Thanks, everyone.